approximants are the sounds in which the articulators come close to each other, but they do not really touch each other, like they do not create a stoppage, right? And they do not create friction, right? So they are different than stops and fricatives, all right? And they are approximants because the articulators, they touch each other approximately, right? And they are approximately vowels, right? They are very similar to vowels. When we'll acoustically discuss, you would see that approximants are very, very similar to vowels, all right? So approximants are the sounds in which approximate structure is created. The structure is approximately created, and there is a modification in the oral cavity, right? Without creating a complete blockage or without creating turbulence, they come to each other very closely, right? And there are examples for these sounds, like liquids are there, liquids, right? R and L, all right? And then glides are there, semi-vowels like V and Y, right? The examples for liquids, like the sounds like real, R, the first sound in real, and then lera, right? So the first sound in word lera, right? So this L sound is basically a liquid and an approximant, therefore. All right. So glides are basically movements, and in the case of V and Y, they are also called semi-vowels, like in word like wave. So the V sound and in wave, W sound, right? Which is also like the bilabial glide, right? And these are approximant, right? And then Y sound in words like yes or yellow, Y sound, Y, right? So these two are called semi-vowels, and these are also glides. All right. Approximants are halfway between vowels and obstruents, because there is no obstruction, right? No complete stoppage or no turbulent release. So these are approximants. And since they are different than vowels phonetically, right, that's why they are not fully vowels. So these are consonants, and these are called approximants, right? Let me tell you some more about approximants. That there are lateral approximants. Lateral, when the air passage is allowed to pass through oral cavity at the sides and the center is blocked, right? So that sound is called lateral. There is one pure lateral in English, which is L sound, right? L. If you just pronounce this L sound, the air passage is blocked from the center, right? But it is allowed to pass through the jaws, right, and the sides of the oral cavity. Like if you try to get ready for this sound, L, right? So this air passage is allowed, and you can just feel the cold air passage through your jaws. L, right? So that is lateral approximant. And then there are central approximants, like R. R is a central approximant because the air passage is allowed to pass through the center of the oral cavity, right? So approximants can be divided into two major types. You see, glides when there is movement, and glides are also called semi-vowels, right? And then liquids are the sound in which there is approximately contact, very approximate contact made between the articulators, right? And these are two major categories of approximants. In liquids, we got R as in real or as in red, word red, the first sound, and then L as in word lad, right? So these are liquids. And then glides, we got two glides in English, like wad or wo sound in words like bad and yet. In yet, the first Y sound is also glide, right? And there is one more way to classify approximant, and that is like the division of approximants into centrals and laterals, right? Like central approximant and lateral approximant. We have got central approximant like R, V, and Y, and lateral approximant L. In English, this is the pure lateral, as already mentioned, right? So these are approximants, approximants, they are very similar to vowels, but they are halfway between obstruents and vowels, right? And approximants are really important because at times they are required to be phonetically distinguished within sound systems of the word. So we need to know what are approximants, what are their features, what are the parameters through which we can distinguish the manners of the articulation of approximants, all right?